want to talk today about the mud flood theory. It is something that has really been just bouncing around in my brain, and I'm not going to be able to focus on my muggle job until I get it out onto paper or video. So let's talk about it. Now, the mud flood theory is something that is really hard to nail down. They say a cataclysm happened in the 19th century, but they don't tell you when, they don't tell you where. Well, they say globally, but they don't give you a specific when, they don't give you a specific where, and they don't give you a specific how. So something happened, but they don't know what, they don't know where, they don't know when, but something happened. And really the only proof they have is these buildings that they say were buried under the mud. But the research that they provide often is conflicting with known architectural practices at the time and historical evidence as well. They show you one picture that makes it look like this, but they don't show you the 10 pictures that disprove their theory. What I'm not going to say today is that the mud flood did not happen, because I don't know that. It's too broad of a suggestion to disprove in one little video. But what I do want to do slowly but surely is tackle one building at a time. So today we're going to tackle the St. Mary Magdalene Church of Omaha, Nebraska. So this is the St. Mary Magdalene Church in Omaha, Nebraska. It is relatively commonly discussed in mud flood circles, whether you know it by that name or not. The image is definitely circulating on the internet. And so we're going to talk about it. Some of the things that are discussed relative to this church are the fact that it was supposedly built in the 1860s, that it took only a year, that it had a third floor or basement level underneath it, that was multiple basement levels that were excavated, and that the Omaha, Nebraska story of having to lower the roads to reduce the hills is false, because there were no hills to lower, which I don't understand, because you would have to lower the hills to excavate. The first thing that I want to talk about is the hilliness of Omaha, or the former hilliness of Omaha. Now, the images that I saw that people claimed showed that there were no prominent hills in Omaha were drawings, artist renderings. Those aren't going to be accurate. Now, if you look at this picture of Omaha before any grading occurred, you can see that it is actually pretty steep, especially considering those roads were unpaved, and therefore anytime it rained, it would have been really hard to get up those hills with a horse and buggy or anything like that. So in order to industrialize and expand the city, regrading was necessary. You'll also see this small building in the back. Well, it's small in the picture, big in real life, or was big in real life. It was the territorial capital. And that's when Omaha was the capital of the territory of Nebraska. It was eventually moved out. Obviously, we know Omaha is not the capital of the state of Nebraska today. That building was used as a high school. It was then torn down, rebuilt. There was a new building put around the old building. A lot of construction on that site. But one thing that has remained consistent on that site is the grade. It was such a large building that they were not able to lower it as they did with some of the other buildings. So what they did instead was put a series of steps. So if you go on Google Earth, first thing that you can see is that, or Google Street View, first thing you can see is actually there is quite a grade still today to Dodge Street, even despite the lowering projects that happened on that road and others. The other thing you can see is the prominent staircase all the way up from the street up to the high school. And that is an indication of the grade that used to be there prior to the lowering of the street. The other thing you'll notice is that there are no other prominent buildings around that site. Now, today, St. Mary Magdalene's is only 1 block away on 19th and Dodge instead of 20th and Dodge. So how is it that a building that should have been visible had it been buried under mud and excavated is not visible in this picture? Well, that's because it wasn't, but we'll get there. Next thing I want to address is the fact that they say that St. Mary Magdalene's was built in 1868. St. Mary Magdalene's was built in 1868, but it wasn't that building. It was a different building at a different intersection. This is the old St. Mary Magdalene's Church that was built in 1868. Notice that it is a brick building, not a masonry building, so there's definitely not the same building. It's definitely not even on the same site. And this one burned down in 1894. The new one was not built until 1902. There was a temporary brick church at this same location as the original between that period. But the building built in 1902 is the one that is claimed to be in the mud flood. It also bothers me that they clearly will show a picture where a foundation is uncovered and that foundation has footings. And then they'll show you another picture where they have built out the lower levels and the foundation shape does not match the final shape of the lower levels. If your theory is that those lower levels already existed and they were simply excavated, why did they not match in shape? It's because it was built. It's because it was built. It's because it was built. And let me show you why I know this. This is the nail in the coffin. Now, this picture shows a view southeast from the high school that we just discussed. And in the bottom left corner, that is a blank lot, an empty lot. And that is where our church was built. So on the left-hand side, we have the New York Life building and the B building. And then we also have on the right-hand side the old courthouse that was then replaced later next door. Now we know that the B building and the New York Life building were between 17th and 18th Street on Farnham. Now, if we track Farnham up past 18th Street, we get to this road here that crosses across the bottom of our photo. That is 19th Street. That is where St. Mary Magdalene's Church should be sitting had it been there. But it wasn't. This photo was taken, I believe, in 1890. You can see a blank lot. Then we fast forward to a similar photo from 1911 showing a similar, it's not the exact angle, but it's a very similar angle, again, from the high school. And what we do see in the back there are those prominent buildings that were in the same photo. I think they had changed names by then, but it had been the B and the New York Life. But most importantly, the thing I want you to look at is this house. It's at the bottom of the photo from 1890, and it is right across the street from St. Mary Magdalene's in the photo from 1911. Based on the height of the church relative to the house in 1911, even though the angle is slightly different in 1890, that church should be visible, and yet it is absolutely not there. It is a blank, empty lot. Okay? So there is no way for them to have excavated an existing building if that building did not exist. So, again, am I saying the mud flood didn't happen? No, I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. But I really want to encourage everybody to do really strong research. Don't just claim something off of a couple of pictures. Try to track down those photos. Try to track down more context. Try to track down the possibility that there is an empty lot, a picture of an empty lot where you're claiming that there was a Tartarian building. Okay? Please, for the love of all things, do better.